Good afternoon. Welcome to Recovering Perfectionist Mama, Grace in Progress. Today we're talking about part 2, the art of the silent boundary when talking no longer works. Silence isn't always punishment. Sometimes it's what happens when there's nobody listening. Boundaries are often misunderstood because people focus on appearance instead of function. A boundary exists to protect reality, not force change. Silence can be abusive or protective. Context matters. So, for instance, when you're trying to talk to someone and try to work something out, and the person is ignoring you, especially when you're trying to ask them questions or try to get context to what's going on, then that can feel abusive, especially when they're like, do I hear something? I don't know. I don't think I do. Or it can be protective. You deciding to stop explaining yourself to people who have never understood you in the first place can be protective of your dignity, can be protective of your feelings, and you don't risk getting into confrontations potentially because they're not listening to you. So there's no real meaningful communication happening. They have their version of what they feel is happening, and you have your version of what's happening and what you're seeing and what you're feeling. And those two don't intersect. They're not cooperating. They're not leading to further insight or middle ground or anything like that, which can be hard to deal with, right? So ultimately, it's like you're not using silence to punish anyone. You're using silence to protect yourself because you feel like, and you know, probably because you've been down this road before, how it's going to end up. And so repeated explanation without accountability from the other side can become self-betrayal, can feel like you're betraying yourself because you're continuing to try to get them to see your viewpoint, and they're not wanting to see your viewpoint because to them, they have the narrative that they need. They have the impression of who you are without corroborating that with you or verifying that with you. This is who you are. This is who you've always been. You're not going to change. And ultimately that's it, right? And so if you continue to try to explain yourself away and try to become worthy or try to make them see your value, then it's almost like you're kind of standing against yourself. That's where the self-betrayal idea comes in. And distance is often chosen after communication has already failed, right? I know I've said this before, but to steal a line from Rod Stewart, there ain't no point in talking if nobody's listening, so we just ran away, right? Young Turks, right? And I told you that before. But an important reframe to make is no contact isn't a moral achievement, low contact isn't weakness, and staying isn't failure. The right choice is the one that reduces harm. The right choice is the one that works for you. Because as I've said, and as I've said in this community, we have a great community. Not everyone is in the same situation, and that's okay. And it starts with context. Context is a big issue as to what works for you. And as I've said from the very beginning in doing these series is, I am not dictating to anyone, hey, cut your family off, do that immediately, make it clean. No, that is not where I come down. I come down with, your facts. You know your circumstances that are occurring to you and happening to you. You know what you've endured. You know what you're willing to endure. And you know what solution feels the best for you. And since I don't know the ins and the outs of your situation, I don't pretend to. I'm not judging anyone. This is a safe space. A safe space for you to listen to the podcast, a safe space for you to interact. Please know that. Please know that this is a safe space. I feel like we have a really good community here, and I'm very, very proud of this community, how they lean on each other and how they offer kind words. That is very important to me. But ultimately, you know your story, right? You don't have to prove your story to me. You don't have to prove your story to anybody. If you want to, your business. If you want to share, you're free to share. If you don't want to share, you're free to not share, right? Whatever feels best for you, right? Your story, your choice. So grounding statement. You don't owe anyone access to you if access requires self-erasure. So if you have to pretend to be someone that you're not, to like things that you don't like, to smooth things over because you feel like that's what you have to do to keep the peace, what part of yourself are you erasing? Or what part of yourself are you not being genuine enough or genuine to yourself and your values? Just so you make someone else happy, who may ultimately down the line continue to exhibit the behaviors that they've exhibited that have caused you to potentially consider no contact in the first place. In closing, silence isn't about teaching someone a lesson. It's about teaching your nervous system that it's allowed to rest. Thank you for tuning in. Our next episode will be part 3, which will be finding your own validation and declaring yourself not guilty. Thank you for tuning in to Recovering Perfectionist Mama, Grace in Progress. Again, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you'll come back and see us again soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.